Hi. It's murky, it's muddy, it's cold because it's rainy out, and it's also dark because there's no power. There's been no electricity ever since last night at 10 p.m. I thought it was load shedding because it happened at the top of the hour, but when I woke up I learned that apparently it was cable theft. They brought the power back at like around 1:45 p.m. I was like, yay, they finally fixed the cables. Well, they replaced them, and then you guys, there was a power cut at 2 p.m. Okay, so I had 15 minutes of light time. All right, that is South Africa. That is this country, and very unfortunately, that is the world at large. If it is not a man-made problem, then it's an earth-made problem or an animal-made problem. There's just problems everywhere. The problem of sin caused cable theft last night, and yet more problem of sin caused these power cuts. However, they just appear like it's a nationally scheduled thing, but the power cuts are here as a result of national indiscretion. Top of that, it's been raining like a monster, but I mean, it's okay. I guess floods are what we take in our stride. Look, do you know how crazy it makes me feel sometimes? Sometimes, not all the time. For the better part of the time, I feel pretty sober. But it sometimes makes me feel crazy when I keep talking about the fact that this is the very end. Very, very end. I woke up this morning to recall a word. Like, when you are somewhere in the middle of waking up and still being asleep. And then just as you pull out of sleep, if you're a Christian, you would know this. You then get like a word of knowledge or something from the Holy Spirit. It was during that time. So I can't really call it a dream, but I woke up hearing a bunch of people, couple of people saying they saw it coming. Yeah, that's literally, those were the words. They saw it coming. Of course, I put two and two together as to what that was or who was speaking about what. It was a bunch of people that were left behind on earth talking about all those crazy people that were talking about this thing that just happened, the rapture. We are going I don't know when though. It just, like, life is just becoming increasingly insufferable in this environment. It is becoming so increasingly insufferable that for me, it's like, okay, so if the rapture does happen, excellent, but if it doesn't, how difficult is it going to be to try and strive anyway? So I've been asking God a whole bunch of questions along the lines of, God, here's a question. During the days of Nero, people thought that Oki was the Antichrist. During the days of Hitler, people thought that Oki was the Antichrist. There have been quite a couple of candidates all throughout history that apparently allegedly qualified to be the Antichrist. During the Protestant Reformation, Martin Luther thought the Pope, the papacy, was basically the Antichrist embodied in mere mortals belonging to the Vatican. Okay? And I was like, we have got a couple of candidates all over the show here in these streets saying that this here is the Antichrist, this day is the Antichrist, this is definitely the last days. And I was like, Lord, what is the difference between now and then? And how do we know if we're not dealing with Martin Luther speculating because his life really sucks in the run-up to the Protestant Reformation with all the persecution that he was enduring at the hands of the Catholic Church? How do we know if we're no different from the people under Nero or Hitler or any other really tyrannical historical powerhouse of a megamaniacal nature that is also quite narcissistic and sociopathic alongside psychopathic? How do we know? Is this really it? Like, I'm so sorry guys for how dark it is, but like, frankly, there's nothing I can do. It's actually afternoon, bright enough, ought to be outside, but it is raining, so it's very cloudy. There are no lights because there's no electricity, so we're just gonna have to deal with what lighting we have right now. Okay, yeah, so like I've been asking God those questions, very, very doubtful and all that jazz. And I'm not really getting a clear-cut answer. All I get are communications from the Holy Spirit, like the one that I heard this morning, where I woke up and just as I was out of my slumber, I heard, they saw it coming. So I guess, I'm dreaming dreams and I'm prophesying, but we've been dreaming dreams and prophesying since forever and a day ago. Peter and them believed that they were in the end of days. As in, like, tomorrow we're going home, and so too do we. I look around at the world and all of its harlotrous activity, and the charlatans bouncing around all over the show, and I'm like, this is definitely the end. But then I also look around at the same world, and there are pockets of it that aren't so bad. There are decent stories out there that are still being told. There are relatively obedient children to parents. There are Christians who aren't persecuted in the world. There are societies that absolutely will not stand by, for instance, the American ridiculousness, IE known as the woke agenda. There are people who still hold to traditional family values. There are people who still hold to basically normalcy in society that is God honoring, and they don't appear too far gone, those societies. But then I look again on the other side and it's like, ooh, so much evil though. Like the increase in witchcraft, the increase in insensitivity on the ground, love of many growing cold, increase in discovering fakeness in Christianity, like people who haven't really been saved, but we've literally trusted that they've been born again all this time. Like a story so devastating as that of Ravi Zacharias. You know how he was like a gospel minister pretty much all his life, and then after he died, we found out he was like a sexual pervert, a tyrant of that nature. And it's like, is anybody redeemed? We are seeing people apostatizing from Christianity that have been with Christ for so long, and we loved them, and they are just like basically fulfilling Bible prophecy. However, we are also seeing people getting born again. We're seeing people holding forth. Literally, it's bad, but it's not as bad as it could be. But frankly, it's worse than it's ever been. Apparently, in my own life alone, it's worse than it's ever been. But there are people who swear that they're happy. There are Christians who are struggling to even fathom the prospect of the rapture, because at that present moment in their lives, they're so content. They're getting married. They're excited. They want to make babies. They've fallen in love. So for them, it's like, can I just have 5 years with my husband? Give me 5 years with marital bliss, because I'm good. So I am literally looking at God and I'm like, are we going home? Or is this just, we've got all the signs culminating towards the end of the world, but are we really there? Guys, I'm smart, and so I try very hard to use those wits of mine to put pieces of the puzzle together in a way that is logical, rational, that I might make an informed decision about what to do next in my life. And that informed decision, I'm having a tough time getting to the end of it because of all of these influences that are informing this decision, that are so polarized or antagonistic to each other, making it difficult to reach one solid, sound, central decision that I'm sitting on. I'm going to go in right ahead and talk about that in the next part, maybe 2 more parts, and then we'll seal this deal. Hopefully by the end of it, we'll all have reached a consensus as to what exactly is going on, and whether or not we're yet more people that are saying the end is here, but it's actually quite far, since one day is as 1,000 years to Christ, or if it's actually really around the corner. Next part.